So, Netflix just released season 2 of A Series of Unfortunate Events. A series of unfortunate events. And I just got done watching it last night. I didn't I didn't read the books growing up. I think they came out a little bit uh, late for me. I think I was already at least in high school. I think they were coming out when I was in college, so it was a little below what my reading level was. I watched the movie uh, when it came out, not when it first came out in theaters, but I remember I watched it shortly after it came out on DVD, and I quite enjoyed it. I know I didn't make a huge impact with people. Um, it made some changes from the books, because, from making it putting three books into one movie. So I had to make some changes adaptation wise, but I enjoy Jim Carrey's performance and other things about it. So one thing season two definitely is different from season one is the first 6 episodes of season one was adapting the same material that the movie adapted. So there was a lot of similarities, and we only in season one we only had those like last 2 episodes of getting something different that we hadn't really covered in the movie. Even if they did do things differently than the movie, obviously they were taking 2 hours per the material that they were adapting in the first movie than in the well, I just lost my train of thought. They were taking 2 hours to adapt the material that they adapted in the movie, like a third of it, and then I know that the other major difference from the series that they adapted more loyally is that the Bad Beginning, the first book, has the ending where Count Olaf is trying to marry Violet, whereas in the movie, they kind of took that ending and then they moved it to where it would be in the what would be the end of the third book, to sort of make that the climax of the movie, whereas the movie where the books that's the climax of part one. Anyway, so season two covers five, I think 5 books, because it's 10 episodes. I was actually expecting it to only be 8 episodes. I hadn't really been keeping up with the production. I knew it was coming out, but I didn't really know anything more than that. So that was interesting. Not really interesting. um, so the only thing I knew about like the episode wise is that I knew that there's 13 books. So I didn't know if there was going to be a longer season 3 or apparently they did that with season 2. So I don't know if season 3 is going to be 8 episodes like season 1 to cover 4 books, which that might be, or I don't know if maybe the last book will be longer. I don't know if the books are longer or would make more sense longer. Now that I'm done talking about that, let's talk about what I thought about season 2. So season 2 carries the same tone and a lot of things of season 1, obviously. I still think I prefer sort of the way the movie presented things. I mean, it had a higher budget. I like a lot of the actors involved. The baby still looks a little weird CGI at moments, but I think it's better in season 2 than season 1. Maybe because the baby's a little bit older. And I like that they joke about that too. It's basically a toddler now. Yeah, I'm assuming because the actress was a toddler, or I don't know how they even filmed that, because I don't know. At times it's awfully CGI and a little uncanny valley. Okay, so it's sort of a part of how the story's told, that like the children are always not believed, and that you have these adults who are just like so insufferable in their kind of stupidity. But I feel like season 2 pushed that even further. Like I said, I don't know what happened in the books, if that sort of a trait carries over from being more loyal to the books. But yeah, it gets a little bit more extreme. And I think part of it is not just that, like, you have the adults like the banker who, no matter how many times they tell him that it's Count Olaf in disguise, he doesn't believe them. Or some of the other adults who just never know what's going on. I think the fact that you start in season 2 really having more of the VFD, the secret organization behind the scenes involved, that it just makes the adults look really, really just incompetent. Um, I think there was like really just one scene in season 1 that made me go like, really, where that one secret agent confronted Olaf. I don't really remember. It was on a boat, I think, and they kind of sort of fought, but not really. There's a lot more of that where, like, seriously, they're being confronted by Olaf, and then like he's capturing them, or it gets a little almost like what I was watching. It's like a children's game, like children like, oh no, I caught you, aha. Is like, well, how, like, it's not presented in a realistic fashion. Like, how Count Olaf is there, and then like characters get captured so easily. Like, can't you even fight back? It's like watching a children's game, and I don't know if that'll come around in the end. I kind of wouldn't want it to be a thing where, like, oh, because this is just them playing it, making a play game. I probably don't think the book ends like that, and I think a lot of fans wouldn't like that if it was to happen, if they were to end the series like that. I mean, that's something you, like, just watching it, that came to my mind was like, oh, you could say that none of this actually happened. This is just Violet. I can't think of the kids' names right now. That's just the Baudelaire children making up stories about themselves. But I don't think they're going to do that. But yeah, that was something. It was starting to get on my nerves a little bit. How incompetent the adults seemed, and how they can't seem to stop Count Olaf at all. Not just the fact that they can't recognize Count Olaf, but like even when they recognize him, they see him, they still can't do anything about it. They're just completely incompetent. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is Neil Patrick's performance as Olaf. More specifically, more disguises. Now, I know this is probably a big part of Olaf, but I think around the second disguise of season 2, I kind of had enough of it. Especially the kind of characters he was coming up with. They just, because I know some of the like the season 1 characters were slightly different from what was in the movie, and then I'm guessing there's room to adapt those like kind of characters from the books, because I'm assuming it probably doesn't give that much detail, or maybe it does, but I'm assuming that there's a freedom for the actor to play around with what kind of made up character it is. But several of them in season 2 just really got on my nerves. Like, it was just, I just kind of wanted it to go away. So by the time it gets to where the second 2 episodes of the season, where he kind of tosses the aliases away, I kind of prefer that. But yeah, definitely like the detective alias was it's just really annoying, especially with the singing. I didn't like it. I thought it was annoying. And the first one with he was pretending to be a gym teacher, and then the second one, I think it was the foreigner, rich foreigner auctioneer guy. Yeah, those were all kind of annoying, and yeah, it didn't really work for me. Dr. Medical School was a little bit better, but yeah, just was not a huge fan of that part of the show. It didn't ruin it for me. I still enjoyed the parts around that, especially. It didn't ruin the show, but like, yeah, I would say that's one of the parts that started to get kind of boring because we'd already seen like 4 different disguises, and now this is like at least 4 more. The 5th one is not really disguised, but he's pretending to be a different Count Olaf from the one that's, spoiler, killed, but it's not really Count Olaf. Um, so yeah, I kind of hope in season 3, I don't know what happens in the books, but I kind of hope we're done with disguises for a bit. I did like in we started to see the Baudelaire children kind of take on the disguises for once, rather it kind of switches up the formula rather than having Olaf being the one who's always in disguise. So that was interesting, and I would kind of like to see a little bit more of that. Even though I really didn't, I felt like the freak costume was a little off-putting. I'd like them to see disguised in something a little bit more pleasant to look at. I don't know. It was just kind of weird. I think with the wig and the makeup on their faces, it was just a little off-putting for me to look at. Other things. Overall, yeah. Overall, I quite liked this season. I kind of watched it in the span of like 2 days. It was only 10 episodes, so it wasn't that hard to watch. I would definitely recommend it. Start with season 1, obviously. I would say if you haven't watched the movie, probably watch the show if you want to watch the show, and then watch the movie if you want to. Definitely watching season 1 is might feel repetitive if you watch the movie first and then watch season 1. If you've seen the movie but it's been years, it'll be fine. Like I hadn't seen the movie in a long time. But yeah, don't watch the movie and then watch season 1. But in season 2, you're in all brand new material. So unless you've read the books, if you haven't read the books like me, you're not familiar with any of that. So yeah, you're just good times for all. So those were my thoughts on a series of unfortunate events, season 2. If I said something that you totally disagreed with or angered you or that you liked, feel free to comment below. Like, subscribe, share, whatever, all that nonsense YouTube stuff. Anyway, that's it. I'll be seeing you around.